Welcome to more World of Warcraft here on Serious Gaming. I'm getting various missions. Alright. Anyway, I am going to go in Val'Sharah. Because who doesn't want to be in the Emerald Dream? Anyway, Val'Sharah awaits. For me personally, I don't know what you guys feel if you played WoW recently and all that. But I've never been a big fan of the whole Emerald Dream nightmare situation. I always find it a bunch of bullshit. But again, people are not really big fans of, well, elves are not really as popular as people think. I mean, they're popular in terms of how many people play them, I suppose, but they're not popular in terms of how many people, like, give a damn about their lore. I always found elves in most fantasy genres to be, lackluster.
Hail and well met, champion.
Alright. So, hey, take a flight.
Hello. Be
All right.
careful.
Ooh. Val'Sharah. So I'm gonna go in there. I'm level 107. Haven't really been playing all that much WoW lately. Other stuff. A great deal of stuff to deal with. The election, the other games, Mafia 3 included, which I honestly don't know why people say Mafia 3 is a bad game. I mean, I get the technical issues and I get the lack of custom side stuff to do, but overall I like what I've played of Mafia 3 so far. But that's just me for the moment. All right. Probably could have gone for High Mountain because there's obviously the crafting quest and all that in there, the profession quest specifically. Welcome to a recreation of the Emerald Dream, while where Malfurion is waiting for us.
How may I aid you?
One of the two leaders of the Night Elves, our
Greetings,
butler.
friend. May nature
Right.
guide your path. Ah, Val'Sharah. Every step in this forest brings back precious memories.
Yeah, I think
Ages ago, the first druids molded this land to be a reflection of the Emerald Dream. Merely an echo, but Val'Sharah is as close to the dream as this world can come. Make ready, hero. We shall soon stand in the presence of the Lord of the Forest.
You mean scenarios? Well,
Follow me.
I've always thought the way
Malfurion, thank Elune you've come.
It is good to see you again.
You must come quickly. Something's happened. He was in the dream, but now he won't wake. We cannot stir him.
What is this corruption?
We don't know. It only just appeared.
I must protect the wild.
alright. Now that we're done with that nauseating intro, let's actually get to something that needs to be done, which is to kill shit, level up, deal with the problems. Like I was saying, I've never cared much for the Emerald Dream. I've never understood why people thought why a scenario based on a dream would actually be interesting. And actually, you know, Warcraft 3, in terms of custom campaigns, I think that the final campaign, the Night Elven campaign, always kind of left quite a bit to be desired. I mean, Paladin was fine and all that. The Maiev storyline in Frozen Throne was fine and all that, but outside of like a couple of missions. Overall, I guess, just felt stupid. Alright, let's see. I'll need to do a lot of this stuff, at least some bonus objectives, in order to get all the resources. So it seems Blizzard's strategy in terms of getting people out of their garrisons, or halls in this particular case, has been to...
Ishnu Allah, be careful.
Alright, come on. Bring it on. Bring it! Come on, baby! Dead by the time it even reaches the ground. Alright, some further haul resources. So yeah, it seems Blizzard's strategy to get people out of their garrisons is to, hey, let's just force them to. I guess that works, right? Obviously. No comment.
I guard the wild. Go with speed.
Moonclaw Veil. Nightmare imps.
These druids were weak. I hope you have more fight in you than they did.
A lot more than you, at any rate.
Stay on, you fool! You've already lost!
Has he? Wait, I need to turn in the quest.
Darkness surrounds us. The wrath of nature is upon... Find me when Kagraxis has been slain. I sense an even darker presence here.
Darker presence exist everywhere. Oh, damn it. Too late. Fella. One has to wonder what role Val'Sharah will play in all of this, in this expansion. Obviously, she wanted to be Sargeras's bed buddy, if you catch my drift. Come on and play. I've got many, many toys to share with you. Alright, well, I do need to kill that one before I progress down. Or wait, not that one. It doesn't matter. Rare. More points. Alright, I need to go underground. That's been made clear. But that's not it. Oh, there we go.
These druids were weak. I hope you have more fight in you than they did.
Alright, what am I looking at? Okay, kill the corruptor. Wherever he is. Wow, Legion is, wow. Wait for a respawn.
Soon, this wretched forest will be bathed in darkness.
I gotta keep it classy, Blizzard. Cheesy one-liners.
The darkness will overwhelm you.
Well. The Archdruid's lair. Just ahead. Or am I getting this wrong?
He put up quite a fight. But your Archdruid belongs to me now.
Hello, Zacchaeus. The Lord of all Satyrs. Well,
The nightmare will consume you.
What exactly would attack Xavius?
Pathetic creature. This curse has made me stronger than the ancients! None can stand against the Nightmare Lord!
Oh, nice. Wait. Rest. Alright. Either my UI is bugged or I have updated my add-ons, or it's just something weird with item level on certain items. How it shows up. Like what item level is supposed to be on item, what item level shows up when I equip the item. I imagine there's something behind that, I just haven't bothered looking at it. Probably the level scaling thing they have going on in every area like this. Well, with the exception of, obviously, Mar. Inefficient to play as Prot while leveling.
These druids were weak. I hope you have more fight in you than they did.
I mean, there was obviously a time and place in WoW's history where leveling up as protection as a paladin actually made a whole lot of sense because of the seals, because of the survivability versus retribution. So, you know, what you do is protection, you would, because of your survivability, you'd be able to go into zones and just gather a whole bunch of mobs and kill them and get a truckload of experience. Also, it just made more sense because you can swap out talents on the fly, and everyone wanted a tank for 5 minutes.
Stay on, you fool! You've already lost!
Just like they still do right now. Of course, these days every tank is considered viable. Back then, not so much. Different state of affairs. It was certainly an interesting time period in Burning Crusade and Vanilla as well. Because here's a history lesson actually for those that don't know. Back then, like, there were certainly groups of people that, you know, were Fury crafters and, you know, who said, okay, this class the best and all that. But then there were significant groups of people who didn't care about that. So instead what they did was they played the class to what their gut told them, and their gut told them, hey, a paladin, he can wear a shield and all that. So, you know, if you'd think a paladin would be able to tank, but that's not how the game worked. At least in Vanilla Burning Crusade, paladins could tank. That's not the question. I did it. Like, let me be real. I did it, and I got pretty far playing in Burning Crusade. I got pretty damn far playing back then. I don't know even where the fuck I'm going here, by the way. Like, when I say I got pretty far, I tanked all the way to Muro, which was one of the most difficult bosses in the game. Like, I did quite a bit. But anyway, the idea of early WoW was that you certainly had theory crafters, but then you had people just, you know, trying shit out and then, you know, ending up in a situation where they had spent weeks, maybe even more so than that, time of their lives, like actual weeks, right? On a character, leveling up that character, and then they found out, oh, this character is not good for this role. But you wanted to play that role, you just couldn't do it, or you would not be accepted in guilds when you tried to do it. So you ended up with a lot of people playing shamans or druids or paladins, all that wanted to play different roles, but they couldn't because they were, it was either not viable, like in Vanilla, or they weren't accepted, like in Burning Crusade. Wrath the Lich King changed all of that. Like, you know, that's probably one of the reasons I can understand, at least to an extent, the argument that, you know, people make that Wrath the Lich King was better in Burning Crusade, because on that level of class balance and on the level of things being viable, it was certainly, you know, it was certainly a different state of affairs. Anyway, where is he? And you couldn't just switch your class around, then leveling a character was... Well, beyond the fact that maybe there were a significant number of people that didn't want to switch their class to play the role. Like, I tried playing Warrior a couple of times as a tank, you know, because it was the tanking class in the eyes of a lot of people, but I never liked it. Probably because I've always held the warriors are just basically an inferior version of the paladin. I mean, consider this, as a paladin you can heal yourself while leveling, and your downtime actually is a lot better than a warrior. Like a warrior had, back in the day, warriors had a terrible downtime while leveling up, because they would take a lot of damage, they had no healing, and they would it would take a long time to recover. Also, it was expensive playing a warrior. Holy fuck! Imagine all the plate armor repairs when your armor class determined how much you'd be paying for your repairs. That made things a nightmare. And actually, kind of like the classes who had the highest repairs were also the classes that kind of struggled the most to actually farm gold from creeps, whereas the classes would, in general, not completely, but imagine this, you know, if you're a mage or a warlock and you're trying to farm gold in early WoW, what would you do? Well, the answer to that question is you just go to Tyr's End, or you'd go to Hearthglen, and you'd kill mobs and you'd get gold, right? That's literally what people did. And as mage, you could do that. Now, obviously as a paladin, you could also do that, even in vanilla, because you could go protection, just gather a bunch of mobs, AoE them down. It was a viable idea. Well, paladins never lacked for AoE capability, even in vanilla. AoE tanking capability. They had it, they just had no ability to... they had no taunt. I mean, imagine this, it's like you're supposed to be a tank class. Paladins might have been able to actually tank in vanilla, but the problem was, one, they had no way to get mana back, so yeah, you could chug potions if you wanted to, that was perhaps the solution. But beyond that, you took considerably more damage because you didn't have talents, you didn't have dedicated tier gear for that, and you had no taunt. Now, it didn't matter perhaps as much as people might think, but still it did matter to an extent. Let's see.
Elun Adore. May the stars guide you.
And in Burning Crusade, thinking of the Paladin class, it was always a case of ignorant morons being ignorant morons. I mean, there were some arguments, legitimate arguments, but believe me, it's always the case. It's like, oh, the difference between your class and this class is like 2% or 4%. Actually, the difference was in terms of damage, physical damage mitigation, it was 4%. In terms of spell mitigation,
the wilds will protect us.
I think 10%, if I remember. And warriors also had spell reflect, they had last stand, they had shield wall.
A new Dora.
Tanking wise.
The dream was clouded with such darkness. I'm awake. In Cenarius's name. Give me a moment to catch my breath, hero. The long years of vigil have taken their toll.
But it was kind of like a fucked up situation to be a paladin tank in Burning Crusade. Because you were really, really good as a paladin in terms of 5-man instances, in terms of heroic dungeons and all that. Like, you could tank mobs like a boss. You just... like, a lot of the problems in terms of tanking in, like, early game was related to the idea of, was related to crowd control, because you had a lot of mobs and you needed to control them. Warriors and druids just didn't have the AoE tanking capability. They didn't have any effective capability of doing AoE threats, so they struggled to maintain a threat on multiple targets. Paladins, 100 targets, it didn't matter. Consecration had no AoE limit. You could have as many targets, you would get threat on all of them. And you generated so much threat because you were doing spell damage, right? You were generating so much threat that people, at least early gear, like with weak gear, they couldn't out-threat you. They couldn't take aggro from you. Like, you could go with some top-tier players, and they wouldn't steal aggro from you, even going full-on DPS, which is something... No, it's not just on mobs, on bosses as well. And so that created a significant advantage. The disadvantage was obviously the perception that paladins were tinfoil tanks, like they would just basically die from a single sweat. Not quite the case, but there was certainly some viability. Got better later in the expansion, more health, better gear sets, talent changes and all that, but very early on there was certainly some validity to that, but then it got a lot better. To the point that, well, paladins are actually much better tanks on certain bosses. And then you got into the argument, okay, which tank is good for this boss? There were certainly some bosses where you wanted the warrior. Reliquary of Souls, Archimond, all that. And then there were other bosses where, like Blood Boil, where having a paladin could just make your flight so much easier as a tank. Because of the mechanics of that fight. Gortok Blood Boil in Black Temple was the kind of fight which which had you dealing with the stacking debuff. you would put that, you needed 3 tanks because he did the cleave and shared damage, if I remember exactly. it never really mattered, you just needed 3 tanks really. I think it was because of a cleave, never asked that, but you did it with 3 tanks. Either way. And he put the stacking debuff on the main tank. Eventually you'd lose threat as the tank because of that, because the debuff, well, you needed to stop generating threat because of that. And let someone else take over. But what you could do as a paladin is the following. You could let the stacks get extremely high, and then divine shield yourself, remove all the stacks, continue tanking. Many times during that fight, once we had it on farm and we had good DPS, where I was just able to solo tank it essentially, or be the one tanking it.
My strength is yours. A new Dora.
It was always funny though playing against Gortag, because Gortag was the kind of fight, well, you don't do much as a tank, you're just sitting there in a corner spamming your rotation, but you're always like,
I sense.
You're always like, is he gonna eat me with this hit or not? Same with Brutalis. Like, Brutalis is a very simple boss when you think about it, but it's like, he could 3-shot you. You could be in the best gear in the game with some of the best healers there, and he could just 3-shot you unless you were a druid.
Yes, yes! I will feed upon your fear and twist it into a living nightmare.
It was amusing because, you know, there were bosses where the tank was not viable. Druids actually had rougher than paladins. Paladins were perfectly viable for most of the bosses. Druids, however, I mean, they were certainly viable, but it's like, what advantage did they bring? Yeah, they had more HP, so they had more HP to consume. There weren't that many hard-hitting bosses for a lot of the tiers of Burn Crusade. Then Blizzard decided to go full-on retard with Sunwell. Yeah, you want to talk about all the issues raiding has in the game right now? Look at fucking Sunwell Plateau as the piece of shit that ruined everything. And it ruined everything because that's when Blizzard decided to go full-on retard and just be like, oh, you want challenging raids? Well, here's your challenging raids. High-damage bosses, bullshit mechanics that have 3-shot tanks, and you can't do anything about it, even if you have got the best fucking gear in the game with very well-equipped healers that know what the hell they're doing. Enjoy that one. And you're chugging along Iron Flask, what's it called? Iron Potions, or whatever, I forgot the exact name. That increase your armor, and you're using Nightmare Seeds to temporarily increase your HP, and doing trinket form rotations and cooldown rotations and all that crap, and you can still die.
The sleepers have
That's
awakened.
exactly when raiding, as far as I'm concerned, started to get ruined. Because, you know, you look at raiding nowadays in WoW, and you might think that it's okay, but raiding was never about this bullshit about cooldown rotations. I mean, yeah, there was certainly something with that, but raiding was simpler and more fun. Because right now a lot of the fun is taken away because everyone's so fucking focused on getting their shit together. Like, you don't have moments where you can just laugh your ass off in the middle of a boss fight and still kill the boss, I might add. When people do retarded shit but still kill the boss. Nowadays, I've never liked mythic or heroic raiding back in the day because of that. There was always like a tension which sucked the fun out of the room. But everything outside of Mythic is, well, just something boring. I miss the fun factor in raids. The wow. There's nothing really wow about raid bosses or anything like that. Even though perhaps on a mechanics level they're much better designed than the past. I kind of think a lot of games could perhaps learn from WildStar on that level. Because, you see, WildStar, you know, when you look at WildStar, you see probably a failed MMO. And frankly, it is a failed MMO for numerous reasons. But you may not believe this one, but the mechanics of the actual raids in that, even though the raids were very difficult, let's not ignore that. The raids were difficult, and they did require everyone knowing what the fuck they were doing, and everyone coordinating effectively, and everyone doing their jobs, which did add a sense of difficulty. But the reality is, the raids, like the mechanics, were pretty simple. It just, you had to be on the ball, but you also have a lot of fun while doing so. Kind of a shame that was the only real well, that and the dungeons that really delivered. I'll miss that. Nowadays it's all just so, like, right now it's so scripted, so plastic, if you want to call it that. You go into a dungeon and there's nothing to entertain you. No new mechanic, nothing really that stands out to you. And hell, if you are doing a dungeon on a difficulty where you actually have to be on the ball, you've already read the guides that exist out there. That wasn't necessary before, and that wasn't necessary in, say, Val'Sharah. You would go in the dungeon, and sure, you might want to learn some things, but the guides were for considerably less relevant. Why? Because the mechanics of a dungeon were pretty clear-cut. What you had to do, what you had to avoid, and how to avoid it. Execution was the important bit, because you had to, like I don't think there was ever like a 5-man boss dungeon boss in Val'Sharah where in heroic mode, at least, where people, hell, fuck heroic, even normal, where people didn't have to be on the ball to do that, to get shit done. Hell, Storm Talon's lair was an utter bitch. And there was extra challenge in that, because to actually be able to raid, you needed to, that's an interesting bit. In order to be able to raid in a game like Val'Sharah, what you need to do as well was do these dungeons timed. And if you wanted the gear to actually do very well in the raids, you need to, like, there were problems with the way the gear was set up and all that. But if you wanted the gear to be able to raid, you needed to do on gold. What does gold mean? So you had silver medals, gold medals, bronze medals. Well, bronze meant doing all the side objectives. Silver meant doing all the side objectives on a timer. Gold meant doing all the side objectives on a timer without anyone dying. And I do mean anyone. So if any person died at any point and you failed any single one of the objectives, you would fail that. And they attached a lot of gear to it. That was fun.
No! It cannot be!
Frustrating at certain points, because some of the dungeons were clearly badly designed, but well, there were bugs. Let's just put it like that. But bloody hell, there was an intensity there, a real intensity. There's nothing wrong with just putting side objectives and basically implementing it so that, hey, if you want to do this, then you can't fucking screw up at all. So you need to get the perfect run. Damn, I love that. There was one dungeon shrine, the Storm Maiden, took about a fucking hour, or what, 45 minutes I believe, time to actually do. So you had to, and doing that gold was a damn nightmare. On top of that, you had legendaries tied to doing stuff. You had bosses with like bonus objectives and all that. Personal objectives, raid objectives, that kind of stuff. Personal objectives, it's like, hey, don't screw up on this mechanic. That will probably kill you if you screw up, so it's like, don't die. That's something I miss these days. The reason I play WoW is it's the only MMO out there that has real community, that has a real player base. I mean, I guess Final Fantasy has a real player base, but I'm not interested in that. Well, that, and it's also just a universe thing. I'm not interested in some Japanese MMO universe. Never have. Oh, I'm not even paying attention, by the way, to what I'm doing. I need to kill someone.
The Witch Mother commands
like,
it!
I'm just ranting away here for quite a while now, and like I'm just playing brain dead throughout the entire experience. Okay, where the hell is that bitch? Where is she? Like, I guess that player killed her.
This land is ours now!
You know, I'd say leveling wise, in terms of a leveling experience, I think Star Wars The Old Republic had a pretty good leveling experience. I enjoyed it. Though I understand, like not every storyline was interesting on it. I think Guild Wars 2 also had like a good, solid leveling experience. Certainly not this. Like, Guild Wars 2 certainly had moments where you were just waiting around for shit to happen. But it also had like those dynamic back and forth events with like invasions, with creeps and all that. And then it had the storyline, obviously, which I felt was reasonable enough. Oh, she's up there, isn't she? All right. Like the storyline in Guild Wars 2 with Traherne, with Zidane and all that. And it was tied to the dungeons. And I thought Guild Wars 2 sucked when it came to like actual mechanics in dungeons. The lack of a Holy Trinity. People are saying, well, it doesn't, you know, we want to get rid of the Holy Trinity. Why? Have you ever considered that maybe it's just the best system out there that exists? I mean, certainly combat could be done better and all that instead of the keyboard mashing and all that. You know what? Give me an MMO with the combat of Val'Sharah, which I feel was pretty damn good. Like, I feel they struck a very nice balance between an action game in a sense and Holy Trinity keyboard style game. Give me a game like that with the story, leveling experience, and even graphics settings and all that of Guild Wars 2, and the dungeons of Val'Sharah, raids of Val'Sharah, with story and lore behind them, and you probably would finally have the MMO to finally beat the fuck out of WoW. Finally. That's what I personally hope for. At least on a PvE level. On a PvP level,
Blessed, young one.
No, we still haven't heard anything from Blizzard on the issue of whether or not they'll implement legacy servers. I mean, I guess when the hell is BlizzCon anyway? You might have missed it with the election craziness that's going on, but when is BlizzCon? That's a good question. Okay.
Time is running out. You are needed at the Grove of Cenarius. We must act swiftly.
What's this? What does she want?
Hi.
You want me to grow trees? What am I, some farmer? Well, I suppose. I don't get Blizzard though. Like oh, I get it. So avoid the pools. Like I don't get Blizzard at all actually on the issue of their leveling content. Do they think people still find it all enjoyable? I mean, if people play WoW, like, I don't think people play WoW anymore. I don't think the majority of people play WoW anymore because of the leveling content. I think the leveling content is pretty fucking dull and boring and forgettable. I think people play WoW because of the social experience and because of the raiding experience. And maybe universe as well, lore and all that stuff. I mean, they're certainly improving on that level. I never did the video on this, but personally, I'm the kind of person who was like popping the champagne when Chris Metzen left Blizzard. It's like, fucking finally the moron's out. And Chris Metzen was one of the guys largely responsible for the creation of the Warcraft universe and all the Blizzard universes as we know them. And then he ruined every single one of them with his retarded crap. Like, he's like George Lucas. At one point you want to say, hey, get out, just stop. You're just destroying the things you've built. Leave it to other people. Well, maybe not J.J. Abrams, because he's J.J. Abrams and he doesn't know what he's doing, but I guess Rogue One appears to be interesting. And I think the stuff with Rebels and the Clone Wars, the cartoons that is, even though they're sterilized as hell, but then again, Star Wars is sterilized as hell in terms of like violence and all that. And hey, Admiral Thrawn. What can I say? Come to Papa, little wisp. Come to Papa.
What is nature's call?
Alright, just a second. Alright, let's see what Malfurion wants.
How might nature serve? Nature stands with you. May the winds be at your back. How may I aid you? May nature guide your path. How might nature serve?
So regardless of what I choose is... Okay then.
Nature stands with you. May the winds be at your back. Lady Ysera, thank you for answering our call. We face a dire threat. I must protect the wild.
No need to explain, Malfurion. I have seen what is coming.
Nature stands with you.
The Emerald Dream is being overtaken by the Nightmare. The Legion and the Satyr Xavius are to blame. Shaladrasil, the World Tree, has fallen to the Nightmare's corruption and spreads its curse across our precious land. The Nightmare Lord must be vanquished, or Val'Sharah is lost.
One small problem with her, her power is greatly diminished. Actually, like, didn't the dragons lose their immortality? Well, it's not real immortality because they can die, or they could have died anyway before. It's more like biological immortality. They can't die from old age or disease or something like that. So it can be killed, but...
Hello.
I'm surprised I missed that one. Really am.
Be careful.
Maybe I should go get it, well, later.
Help has arrived at last! Elune be praised!
Time to get those Tears of Elune and defend the temple. Because otherwise we might face some very bad consequences if it falls. And the Tears of Elune, that's what we are actually here for.
The forest will prevail.
Oh, that
Tremble beneath the might of the Burning Legion.
Holy shit. This is gonna be a problem. Oh, fuck. I'm dead. Bye. Don't know if I can survive this, actually. How about you lend a hand?
At long last, destruction has come to this pathetic world.
I'm dead. Probably. Yep, most likely. Right. I'm thinking that you don't just kill that one.
Pray to your pathetic goddess. Let her listen to your cries of agony. Rend the flesh from their bones and drain the life from their mortal bodies.
Uh-huh. Alright then. That's not gonna work. Need to find some protection against that. I suppose the tears are what we use against this guy.
Yes, struggle. Your meager attempts to survive amuse me.
Well, they should, because you're gonna die, mate, one way or another. Oh, you need... I guess you need to heal yourself. Right.
At long last, destruction has come to this pathetic world.
Alright, kill...
Tremble beneath the might of the Burning Legion. Enjoy this moment, mortals. It shall be your last.
Foolish mortal, the Tears of Elune are mine now. If Malfurion wants them back so badly, he can seek me out. I'll be waiting.
Aren't you a charming fellow, Xavius?
From their bones and drain the life from their mortal bodies!
Alright, gonna help the defenders.
Enjoy this moment, mortals. It shall be your last! Your meager attempts to survive amuse me.
Your pathetic lines of speech amuse me. Or actually, they just tire me. Problem is, he has that damned ability to back his words up.
Flesh from their bones and drain the life from their mortal bodies.
Maybe use their souls to power portals up, right? You know, they retconned the lore recently, so apparently Sargeras has the ability to just blow up worlds, or he had, and that was before he blew up the entire Pantheon and basically became even more powerful after that. So, why did, like, if, you know, if Sargeras' goal is to just blow up Azeroth, which it was, then why is he so hell-bent? Why is he so hell-bent on taking it? No logic, no reason, never given. Something Blizzard doesn't give a fuck about to explain. There's so many gaps in their stories. And the problem is they retcon shit, so it's actually even worse because of that. I mean, I imagine this is the problem that you have with any long-standing series like the Warcraft one, but it's just pretty bad here in this case. Well, let's see what the Emerald aspect has to say.
I have seen your dreams. Every dream.
No!
I have wasted too much time here. No more!
Cenarius' loss has left Malfurion unable to see reason. Make haste to the World Tree. He may be headed there, all too ready to take reckless risks. Meanwhile, you and I will follow his trail from here. Malfurion must not fall. Tell me, what do you see? Together, we shall prevail. Rage has blinded Malfurion. He and Xavius have a long history of conflict. Even he cannot hope to defeat Xavius alone. We must find him at once. I must take to the sky. Embrace the power I have given you.
Xavius is the master of this forest now. To enter is to succumb to the nightmare. My power will destroy this pathetic land. I live to serve Xavius. I live to serve Xavius.
I'm gonna repeat that line again and again and again.
Nothing can withstand the might of Xavius. I grow tired of you. Rise. Grow. Take this forest.
Oh, such a nice thing from you.
How do you think you will fare against the might of Xavius?
Probably better than you will right now.
Destroy this pathetic land.
Darkgrove has fled into a nearby cavern. Hunt him down and end this.
And what? The corruption of your precious, pathetic imitation of the Emerald Dream? Okay.
Rise. Grow. Take this forest. My power will destroy this pathetic land. I grow tired of you. I live to serve Xavius.
I think you're terribly annoying, mate.
Time may pass, but the dream is eternal. Courage, young one. Hope is never lost.
Friend.
Ah, the Mother of Dreams has arrived at last.
Malfurion! Where is my beloved? We've got them cornered. They defile everything they touch.
Well, Ysera has been transformed by Xavius. I'd say it would be ridiculous for the dragon aspect to be... for that to happen to someone as powerful as her, but keep in mind a lot of her power was taken away from her. Well, voluntarily given away. Wait, I don't think I can actually...
What are we waiting for? We've got them cornered.
Anyway, Christine here on Serious Gaming, signing out. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video.